Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video from the Texas LCQ. This time we're going over Claudio Dominguez's third place Shenron Veggies deck profile. Now this is a deck that I've thought could have a good aggro presence in the format for probably the past like 2-3 formats now. It's a very strong, fast rush deck. I mean, you just have free energy plays to assemble a squad into Santi Merkaba, but you know, people were hesitant to play with it for whatever reason. I mean, there is a lot of go wide hate, there's a lot of aggro hate. This deck can play around a good amount of it pretty well. So I'm pretty stoked to see that Claudio did so well with the deck. We're going to go over his notes, then we'll go over the deck profile. But before we do, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can stay updated with awesome Dragon Ball Super content that I post here. If you're looking for a Dragon Ball Super community to get in touch with, make sure to check out the Discord in the description below. Excellent, helpful group of people. If you guys want to help support the channel or get caught up on some competitive content now that we are heading towards Nationals, make sure to check out the Patreon in the description below. And finally, guys, if you want to build the deck you see here or buy any of the cards I talk about, make sure to use my link to TCG Player in the description below. All this stuff, guys, really helps channel out a lot. Really appreciate every single one of you. With that being said, we'll get into Claudio's notes and then the deck profile. So Claudio says, alright, so I decided to play Shenron Veggies because coming out of the Orlando event, Janemba was the winner and had a lot of representation. Very true. So going into this event, I was anticipating running into the counter to Janemba, which would be Toa or Shenron Porunga Ramp style decks. Shenron Porunga Ramp definitely, and aggro definitely really hurts those decks. Toa, Janemba kind of beats Toa right now. I guess if you run into the tricolor Janemba, I guess not everyone's playing tricolor with the green. You know, Vegeta the Cruel, killing the regulators and picking at Toa's hand really hurts. But this is definitely a good pick going up against Shenron or Toa, and Claudio definitely made the right decision because Janemba was not super high in rep and did not really, you know, pierce the top cut. So he says, so because they have a long window to get into their big monsters, this version of Veggies catches people off guard from the start. My matchups for the day: round 1, Shenron Ramp 2-0. Pretty easy and just straight swarm the board to win both games. Makes a lot of sense. They have the Porunga to like deal with your wide board, but even then, like a lot of builds I've seen, they've been cutting Porunga like to 1 or just bumping it to the side deck, and I'm really confused why. I think the card is so strong. So we'll go through the rest of his matches. Round 2, Toa 2-1 literally came down in game 3. I opened 7 Dragon Balls on turn 2, and my opponent only had 1 energy to work with, so the pressure was too much. That's definitely going to be a sealed deal. In this type of deck, like a lot of times with Shenron, you want to awaken turn 3 so that every turn you can search 2 Dragon Balls plus 2. But in a variant like this, where you want to just go as aggressive as possible, the turn 2 awaken can be very beneficial. So round 3, another Shenron Ramp 2-1 with the victory. It was a little tough because the opponent sided in the Supreme Kai of Time and my 2 drops couldn't swing, but I managed to get the win. Yeah, like I mean, you have a lot of 4-drop attackers, a few 3-drop attackers, so this deck can actually play around the Supreme Kai of Time Disruptor pretty well. So next one being round 4, he played his friend Brian, who was running Porunga Ramp, so a third Porunga Ramp, 2-0. It was just him swarming the board again to win. Round 5, played against a local from Houston named Brandon, who ran Majin Buu Leader. That's pretty dope to see that in round 5. Majin Buu Leader was undefeated. 2-0. His deck is really impressive. I just felt that me siding in TN did the job. And the last round was against the winner, Ruhit, and the matchup could have gone either way. Just felt I had one massive misplay at the end because I forgot where my last Kaba was. That's pretty crucial. Yeah, I mean, the first couple Kabas, you definitely keep track of where they are, but when you're getting down to the grind game and you're on your 4th Kaba and you forget it, it's hard to blame the guy. I mean, that's a long day of Dragon Ball, and the 4th Kaba in the deck, you don't ever think you'll really get there. So I can definitely understand. So Claudio ends with saying, overall, really content with the deck, but with a splash of yellow, it really isn't a one-trick pony. I feel like it gives more options, and tapping out the opponent is great, and having that to bait out the counterplays is amazing. I would have liked to have some of the new KOs from the draft box in the deck. I believe he's talking about the 3-drop 15k that like can restand as a blocker, I believe. And I would have liked to have some of those. Maybe test out a single world piece, or maybe a few. And just shout out to all the players who attended, and thank you, Joey and Shenron's Lair. You got it, man, no problem. Also my team Meta Club, and can't wait for Nats. So those are Claudio's notes on the deck, giving you a little bit of insight to like how he played a few of the matchups. But we'll go through the deck profile. So obviously we're running the Shenron Leader. It's one of the best ways to assemble the squad, in my opinion. Like You could play Purunga. Actually, Purunga might be really good for this deck just because, like, getting that leader ulti to bring out another Kaba seems really, really good in theory. I'm not totally sure what in this build you give triple attack to. Like, the Caulifla Awakened Sister seems like the best one because it has base double strike. I've seen other builds that play, like, Fearless Pan to give the Impeccable Super Saiyan Kaba the double strike to then give triple attack with the leader. But this build, you know, is a tricolor build, so Fearless Pan is a bit tough. So I wonder if that would be a good consideration for the future. But going forward, 7 regular Dragon Balls. I guess, you know, 1 star. 1 star is not super important, actually, because you don't really want anything in your drop area. You just want all your Kabas in deck. The 2 Dangerous Journey Bulma, I'm assuming for Janemba. 3 Radar, just abuse, assemble the squad, get extra draws off Dragon Balls. 1 Hidden Power E Supreme Kai to sneak out the games. Sister Attack Kale, of course. Saiyan Timur Kaba. Unstoppable Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla. Then we have the 4 squad, of course you got to play that. Then we have the super combos. Now we have the yellow package. So Caulifla, Troublemaker of U6, and the 2 Caulifla Awakened Sisters. So one thing that I think people may not realize is that Kaba can play any Caulifla out of your deck. Like, doesn't care about energy restriction, doesn't care about color, power, anything like that. So you can look at the top 10 in this deck and you have a ton of targets. You got your green Caulifla, you got your red Caulifla, and you've got your 2 yellow Cauliflas. So Troublemaker, what she does is she takes a life, and a lot of times in Shenron, like, if you're not getting aggroed, you're gonna have a ton of life that you want to just, you know, see throughout the course of the game, so that gets you there. And then Caulifla the Awakened Sister, when you play her through the Kaba, will tap one of your opponent's energy or battle cards, whatever one is like more pesky at the time, and then you just go off from there. And like I said, I think the Caulifla is probably the best card to give triple attack because it is the only form of double strike. So you know, that's my opinion. Then we have the 2 Impeccable Kaba, the 4 Bold Sister Bold Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla. So off of her, you're going to be able to play the Sister Attack Kale and the Impeccable Super Saiyan Kaba. And that 3-drop Kale from the draft box, it's a 15k attacker. At the end of the turn, you can restand it, and it gains 5,000 during your opponent's turn, and it's a blocker. So it's basically a 20k blocker. That would be another target you could play off of the Bold Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla. Might be a good spot here. Surprise Attack Frieza, a free crit when you KO a battle card. So I imagine a few of the times he would attack into battle cards that were pesky. Sometimes maybe drop the Hidden Awakening Kale, although I would imagine that Kale doesn't come up too much. I actually do have a local friend that plays this deck a lot. Similar version, not quite the tricolor, but he doesn't really go into Kale too much, like, unless she has multiple Kabas, making it like a 2 or 1 drop, but that doesn't happen all the time. Then we have the Caulifla Awakened Sister again for those final aggro pushes. So overall, I think the main deck is really, really solid. I do kind of wonder what he aims to charge. I don't think in this deck it matters all that much, because once you have the Kabas down, like, your green specified costs go away. Your Sister Attack Kale is a 1 energy investment. You do have a few 2 red costs here with the Kaba and the red Caulifla, and then, like, you have a 1 yellow cost. So I imagine, like, you can get away with charging a green, a red, and a yellow, but depending on the matchup, depending on the game state, you might want to get that double yellow down for, like, a Awakened Sister. You might want to get double red down for the Impeccable Saiyan Kaba, just, like, kind of situational. Going over the sideboard, Flying Nimbus for those aggro mirror matches. Now, a lot of people have been mentioning to me that Nimbus is just, like, kind of a waste of a slot, and I don't know, I wonder what Claudio thinks about this. But, you know, if you're, you know, the main deck you want to use Flying Nimbus against is U6. That's the premier aggro deck of the format, and they have a ton of ways to tap your energy, right? So Flying Nimbus almost seems like it's a card you'll side in and not be able to use. But I mean, if you keep multiple energy available, like, you know, in this deck in particular, you can make free plays with Assemble a Squad. You can keep, like, 2 yellow open, and if they only can tap one of your energy, then you can Nimbus them. So that definitely seems like a way this deck can play around that. 2 Dauntless Kale, a little bit of free blocker, so this is good against things like Triple Strike with what's that guy called, Triple Flash. You have things like that. Victory Strike if they're playing like a U7 build. Striving to be the best Goku, decent against, like, Skillless. The other version of U6 Shenron, where it's like purely blue-yellow, they actually have to attack with a lot more 2-drops to get their plays going, so that's actually really good against them. Also pretty good against Pan. They have a lot of 2-drop attackers like Yamcha, things like that. 1 newfound power Purunga in the sideboard, so I guess this is, like, kind of helping you play from behind, let's say like in a mirror match or something along those lines, where you're not able to get your board established. You can basically reset the board. Also, this card is just incredibly good in Shenron in general. You know, tapping it to draw 2, really, really strong. 2 Crisis Crusher, some anti-aggro hate. This is probably really good against, like, the 1-drop crit attackers. 2 Haru Haru. No more ways to abuse this without Child's Wish around, but still against, like, yellow and green decks, this card is crazy, especially in an aggro build like this. 4 TN Returning Fire. Seems like a lot, but it does seem like Janemba can be a bit of a tough matchup because of the constant amount of defense it runs. Luckily though, this deck, will flood the board super wide, and TN can really prevent that Janemba deck from playing the type of defense it wants to play. Senzu Bean and certain builds playing, Unbreakable, Infernal Villainy Cell, and just wanting to reset energy and keep playing defense. So overall, really cool deck. I'm glad to finally see it get a top. Congratulations again, Claudio. Thank you so much for reaching out to me to profile this deck. Really appreciate it, man. Hope you guys enjoy the deck profile. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.